welcome back to Hobbit Racing. It's Tony. Thanks for joining me. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Whenever we see you in the Shire, there's always a car on a car stand where you're highlighting what you're about to tell us all about as far as how that journey went. But sometimes the journey starts with a box from Slot Racing Company in this case. So if you take yourself way back when, to about 2024 for Christmas, when I got this one, and their white kits from Slot Racing Company are not necessarily a rolling chassis that we might be familiar with from some of our other manufacturers. So join me on this, and you'll spend about 3 minutes time here, which was an hour and a half condensed. And I will give you a little bit of a narration of what I was going through. And by the end of this, we'll talk about the rolling chassis. So I started out by mapping all the parts out, as you can see them all amongst there. And I did a really good job of evaluating what I had, because the instructions, well, there were no instructions that came with it. And I reached out and I eventually found that there was a blog, and it's where they keep their instructions. But making my way through, as you can see, I really carefully mapped out all the screw possibilities. I really evaluated the depth and the size, because you'd be surprised that your eyes can play some serious tricks on you. For example, the fact that the chassis was a two-piece chassis, it made a little bit of sense to use the dark screws that weren't necessarily self-tappers, as opposed to some of the stainless steel screws that I had that were sharper and self-tappers. The chassis and the motor pod that you can see that I'm working on here, that was quite interesting. The lack of instructions there really hurt that even though I know I'm checking the height of the MX-16 there, that rocker arm that you see at the front was quite the interesting thing to work out in terms of the pieces that hold that in place, and my guesstimation of where that went. And we'll take a look at that soon. And similarly here with the set screws for the front axle, maybe this was a little bit of a QC issue, but there weren't the right number of set screws. And so, in some cases, I could put a smaller one in because I felt like I was going to rest at the top of the axle block, but on the bottom I needed the larger ones. And so that one happened to work out okay. And of course, in this instance, you see me using the CGMA to put the short can motor in the long can configuration. Then I went with the rear axle block that was about, I think, the second in height change for the offset. Wonderful that they gave you 4 beds. The numbers that they gave you on those beds didn't necessarily correlate with anything that meant anything to me, so I just used the caliper, as you saw. Ball bearings was a nice feature in the rear. Nice aluminum axles here. I'm just trying to figure out the placement of how I want all that to sit. And I think that's also put together in a rolling chassis configuration. It's also put together with the stock components that came from it, right? The only thing that you don't see stock there was that, this part here that, well, those wheels broke and I had to move on. So you've almost got a rolling chassis there, and lo and behold. Well, there we are, rolling chassis and all. We've got our pivot points for suspension, both in the sides and in the rear. Guess it's hard to do it justice from this angle, but springs are in there in both places. And then I've actually used that long set screw right there, because you have to create a pivot point so that doesn't just slide completely up and down. So we are essentially a rolling chassis, fully assembled rolling chassis, minus some braid and minus that motor. That's a 28 tooth that came with. It's coming out of the box 1228, but that's because of this. 300 grams per centimeter, 21,000 RPM. We're going to be a little bit more tame at 170 grams per centimeter at the same pace, 21.5, 23,000. Depending on what that MX-16 comes out to be that you can hear. We're finally up to 12 volts without load, so 12 is going to be ambitious. I'll go down to 11, and that's still really ambitious. Probably going to dial myself back to a 1027 or a 1026, or maybe even a 924 in the long run, which is a great place to be. 2.67. But this is pretty cool. I did have to, this, that just was a complete fail. So I've got some slotted insert rims that I had, and I like to keep the traditional look of the LMP, so I wasn't going to go with those. They're very, very hard zero grip tires that came with it. They don't look right with this car. Those are NSR zero grips that I put on my LMP, so they have a larger walled body to the side wall of them, and they go more appropriately where we have the aluminums with the CB58s on them. So this is going to be pretty cool. There's not a lot of places for weight. I could obviously put some weight right there if needed, and maybe some tungsten can go up around here. So we'll see. We should have a rolling chassis. It'll be a while until I get the paint scheme going. I was going to do gravity colors and do some airbrushing, but I seem to have found a few more colors to my liking in this livery that may not require it. And it'll be all about the clear coat, because all the black parts of the car are matte finish. And so really had a great conversation with Lee Wright about that, and he really helped me out. And so whether I use airbrushing or not, I've got a good technique to deal with the matte clear coat versus the gloss clear coat on the white. So this is pretty exciting. It only took me about, an hour and a half to familiarize myself with it and test fitting some things. And hey, what do you know? We have a slot car. That is definitely something for now. I am not sure where we're at or where we're going, but that's something for now, that's for sure. It's a pretty Porsche 919. Golly, that looks good. Can't wait until this thing is a running livery, and it will be beautiful. So I have no idea, we're experimenting, right? That was what I put on the light, carved it out inside that bezel, and then I carved it out, and then I cut some excess. Let's try. So the foolish thing is that I don't have a camera in a way that I can tell you to be able to see through this light as I was manipulating it under the magnifying glass, but I cannot tell you how satisfying that is. Now I'm going to try and get the rest to wrap around the sides and trim what I don't need as it dries, but I don't want to manipulate it too much. I am blown away. That is wrapped in carbon fiber decal from that cutout on the inside and then access to wrap. Wow. Are you kidding me? That is unbelievable. Unbelievable for a first try. It's got to dry. I may have to hit it with the microsol again, but that has sucked up on all sides. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? I made one minor mistake. You can probably see it. I just cut a little bit funky right down at the bottom of the bezel, but what are you kidding me? Look at the curve at the top. Oh my gosh. And the curve on the side, and the curve on the side here too. What in the world? That took some effort of about maybe no more than 15 minutes of careful cutting, and then just patience with putting it in the right place, getting that tip soaked with microsol to keep it moving, using the, gosh, like I said, I wish I could film it, but you can't film. I mean, you can, but I don't have the sophistication to film underneath the magnifying glass. But my goodness, man, it can be done. Now, it's obviously not in there all the way, and I'm going to have a hell of a time getting that underneath there without having to manipulate it too much. And I'll figure out I can always wipe the bezel. I can always wipe the clear clean, and I'm going to have to get my fingers to get that in there. But my goodness, just wait until that is on there. And the black and red and the stripe, I mean, that's what you're talking about right there. Again, just insane that, Porsche decided when they went to do the Nürburgring record, which I think is what they did, or maybe they did, I can't remember what they did. So they had the ability to just remove the headlights, and they put complete blackout over the top of it, so there was no bezel. But, oh man, that's why now, because you could see that they made the bezel part of the headlamp cover, and then they could always just completely cover the whole entire thing for better aerodynamics and making it lighter when they set that record, obviously. Not that that was the intent of the race car. I mean, shoot, this car and the Toyota battled it out in LMP1 for several years before the fight opened up to all the WEC that it is now for hypercar. But Oh man, I'm telling you right now, that's so satisfying. It's not perfect. Of course it's not perfect. It's not a tampo. It's not a, it's not a mass-produced thing that where you just tamp that on there and it gets that way every time, but I'll take it. Are you kidding me? And of course, practice makes, well, not perfect. It's only my second one, but you can't be serious. Load it up and never give up. You should have seen if I could have only had the wherewithal to figure out how to mount a camera again through this, but I'm just trying to share my experience. Even when it's done, it will shrink. It will do all the things you need to. Microsol is an amazing tool, and this stuff right here is way more rigid and thick than your average. Like this right here is way thicker than the backer paper that makes these Le Mans decals. And so because of the carbon fiber that's built into it, again, I don't even think the light does it justice. I mean, it's just, I'm again, it's a model. It's not, it's me doing it. It's not, tamped on there, but what in the world? Wow. Well, there's something more familiar, but she's showing you the taillights right now, and nothing but the taillights. Nothing but the taillights today. So you got to stick around and join me as I go through the paint journey next. So we'll head in that direction next, and this was truly, truly a labor of love. So be on the lookout for part 2 here with the paint. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit that subscribe button. And give me some likes and give me some feedback. But hitting that subscribe button, it really helps this little channel where we're doing these little things with these little cars. So thanks for watching.
If you don't subscribe to Hubble Racing, I'll poke you with my staff. Pokey, pokey, pokey. She will poke you with her staff. Pokey!